It's Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers with tips and advice on landscaping and gardening. Here's Fernando Martinez.
Yes, I am. I am here, and thank you for joining me here on the patio with Patio Side Chats. Glad to have you. Welcome along, and thank you for tuning in. So today's show is going to be about the wonderful world of colors and shapes and styles and textures and patterns. And it's really something that we have to give a lot of thought to if you're doing a new paver patio, or if you're doing a retaining wall, or any projects, similar to that. It might be flagstone, or there's any number of rocks and, boulders or textures and steps and things that we need. Fire pits can be made out of block, and, veneer stone on fireplaces. And so we've got to pick out colors and styles and textures. So I thought I really wanted to do a show on that today to talk about why would you choose a certain color, and what colors are good colors to go with, and what do you tie in? Do we match, colors? Do we contrast? How do the textures affect the project, and how does it affect the look and usability and how we feel about it? And so it can be overwhelming, and that's kind of one of the things I wanted to talk about in this show, is not to get overwhelmed. There's really no way to make a mistake. All the colors look good. All the styles look good. All the patterns look good. And so when it comes to that, I want you to feel comfortable and confident in picking it out. If you're doing the project yourself, if you're having a contractor coming in, they should be giving you choices, by the way, and you should really be involved and make sure that they understand you want to be involved in the picking of it out. Even if it seems overwhelming to you, I'm telling you, it's really not, because you can rest and really be confident in the fact that you can't make a mistake. There's really no way to make a mistake. Even when I think it's going to be a mistake, or that one of our clients has made a mistake color-wise, and I raise my hand and I say, oh my gosh, I don't know if we should do this. I don't know if the colors are going to work out. Basic worst case scenario, and it still looked good. So right then and there told me there's no way you can make a mistake. And so that's the show today. Let's jump right on into it. Let's say you're doing a paver driveway, or a paver entry, or a back patio, or even a side walkway or something. Even if you're doing a basic job to them all the way up to the most elaborate job, you have to, somebody's got to decide, what color is it going to be? Is it going to be a blend of colors? Are they going to be solid colors? What's the texture going to be? Do we contrast or match? And so here's my philosophy. When you're deciding whether you should match or contrast, because, one thing, try to stay away from, really bland, light colors on everything. Or you're trying to have everything be like tan would be the most common. Like, I want a tan retaining wall, my house is tan, and I want tan pavers. To me, that would be worst case scenario. But again, you can't really make a mistake. So even if you do that, it'll be super neutral. Your house will retain its value. It'll be really sellable. You're not over personalizing anything, because it can go the other direction as well. But the main thing that my opinion is if you're going to try to match, it should really be almost an exact match. I mean, nothing's going to be perfect, exact. But if you are matching, it should be really close, so that if you just looked across it, or weren't, looking at under a magnifying glass, it really truly appears as the same color. In that case, absolutely match. It looks wonderful, looks beautiful, looks like you did it all as one, or maybe the color, the paint on the house was color matched to the pavers. Now, here's the advantage if you're doing it the other way, because you're not going to paint pavers. So if your house isn't painted yet, and it's going to be painted, do the pavers first. And take one of the pavers in, and they can color match the pavers. I know at a local hardware store here, there's a gal that works in there, and it does the paint. She is amazing. She can absolutely match anything. I've done it several times, and just even on the interior of my house, we had one of our curtain rods came out and it did some damage to the sheetrock. And I thought, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And how am I going to match this paint? It's been up for 5-7 years or whatever. It's, things fade. Even if I had the original can, which I didn't, there's no way it was going to match because that paint is faded, with the sun. And so luckily I had a piece of sheetrock, took it in. You cannot tell where I painted. And so they are really good at color matching. They have computers nowadays. So that could be an advantage to color match the paint of your house to a paver. And if it all looks exactly the same color, it looks golden. If you're off slightly and it's obvious and it looks like you're trying to match, to me, in my opinion, that's really the only way to make a mistake, to where it looks like, this, tan is a different tan than that tan. The wall is slightly off. They're different blocks, different manufacturers, but they're all supposed to be that kind of light color, whatever. In that case, if it's close, but you can really tell, then I would steer you to go to the contrast. Go with a darker color. If you like light tan, try a dark brown, or try a blend of colors. Airval has some nice colors that are a mix of dark browns and light tans. That's a local paver manufacturer here on the Central Coast, in case you didn't know that. They're also advertised on the show, full disclosure. And by the way, if you hear commercials on this show, please, support the vendors. They're here working with us locally, and especially Airval Block. If you go into Airval Block in San Luis, let them know you heard about them on this radio show. That'd be great. So I'd almost rather, even if the tan were to match, it looks, especially when you're using light tan on a large area, like let's say a back patio, and you've got windows facing the back patio, and then maybe it's a south facing or west facing patio where the sun's going to come in and beat on there. The really light colors are bright. So consider dark colors, and they absorb the light differently and they're easier on your eyes. And so if I'm sitting on my couch, which I have, there's an area of my garage that faces south. And if I sit in my lounge chair watching TV and I'm looking out, I have a glass back door. That house and the way the patio touches the house there is shining basically right on my eyes. And we used to have like this buttery yellow tan house that we painted a dark color. And now it's a dark brown that's kind of got a gray base to it. Really nice color, very dark. Some people wouldn't like that, and I get it, but oh my gosh, it's so much easier. I don't feel like I have to go shut the blinds now. So consider how something's going to look in the full hot sun while you're choosing the colors. Again, this is what this show is about here. So if you're in that process, if you're thinking about picking out colors, or even if you're pouring concrete, some of this stuff goes, I might not mention the product you're using, or you might be, painting inside the house. This advice, goes across or tile, so think about it in the terms of the project that you're doing, but it really holds true throughout any projects that we're doing. Now, okay, so dark colors where sun is going to hit a lot and could potentially be really bright, contrasting with colors that complement the color. And that's what I was talking about with the Airval Block. They have a cream brown. And so if you have a light tan house and use a cream brown paver, somewhere in that mix of the cream and the brown will pick up that tan from the house. One of the best ways is to bring a paver to the house. If the house is already painted and you're not, going to paint it anytime in the near future, then you do want to use that. Use the color of the house, complement it, and bring the paver over there or whatever it is, tile, whatever, and look at the color. Look at it in the sun. Look at it in the shade. Get both the areas wet if possible, and look at them while they're wet, and you'll really be able to tell if that's going to look good together, and either tie in with some of the colors there or contrast really well with them, and stay in those kind of color tones throughout the yard. So if it's cream brown, you could do a dark brown border, and you have a light tan house, and everything's kind of tying together, or, you can do a dark brown wall, or go ahead and do a light, tan wall, and the house is tan, but the pavers in between are, cream brown, maybe with a dark brown border. I like doing borders, and we're going to talk about that too. And it's another way to bring in a different color, another element, and really help contrasting. So if you wanted, let's say I really want this tan, but where the tan, touches the house, the tans aren't perfect, you can do a border in between of a dark brown and break that up between the two tans and work with it that way. You can also inset maybe a 10% or a 20% dark brown in the tan patio to break that up and make it a little darker. Be careful with the 10, 20% because it can look kind of checkerboardy. If you like that look, great. If you don't, maybe do a 60-40. It won't look as checkerboardy on that, I've noticed. And so, think about colors in terms of tying in the roof as well. What color are your roof tiles? Like some people's houses are white and they'll have, maybe this gray charcoal or brown charcoal roof tiles. You can tie that in. They make brown charcoal pavers and walls, blocks and caps and, veneer stone for a fire pit, something like that. I love tying those things in, and I love contrasting. I personally like the pavers to be dark colors. And then let's say you had a fire pit in the middle of your dark paver patio, the fire pit would be a nice lighter color. And so it pops and it comes off. The house can be a little bit lighter of a color. The house will pop and the pavers will be nice. You get a nice color, a nice blend of colors. You can do some dark borders. You can have a nice little pattern. The pavers can have a texture to them, but they're not standing out and being the main thing to look at. I mean, don't necessarily want the patio to be, it's not a patio feature, If you wanted to do a water feature or something decorative, or for highlighting, things with lights and things, we're usually not highlighting the pavers. And I think during the day, the way you do that is make them dark. And that goes for driveways too. I often think about why we got into pavers when we first started landscaping. And the front of most homes that we landscape, almost a third of the front yard is the driveway. And then you combine that with the walkways up and the entry. It's a pretty, impressive thing that's going to be there as part of your front landscaping. If you're looking at your front as curb appeal or looking at doing front yard landscaping, it's absolutely huge. And so having that be a nice, easy on your eyes color that's complementing the house, either tying in with it or contrasting with it, and having a nice border, a decent pattern, maybe you want to add a little bit of texture to it, and it's just going to make the whole yard look incredible. The thing that I don't like about just gray broom finish blah concrete is it's almost white, and then the sun's hitting it, it's hurting your eyes. Your house is really light color, tan or white. Oh my gosh, so really think about that. Colors are huge. That's why we're devoting a whole show to it here. Now, again, I don't want you to get overwhelmed by all the choices and the colors and I'm not a designer. I don't know how to pick out these colors because there's absolutely no way you can make a mistake. So have full confidence. I'll tell you a story about one job that I thought for sure we were making a mistake. It was a house in San Ynez. They had the Spanish style roof with those reddish, kind of orangey reddish tile roof. They had flagstone with tan and pink in it as a patio. And down below they had a swimming pool with white, concrete all around it. And we were going to put in an expanded area for them to put, lounge chairs around the pool. And they didn't want to take the concrete out. It was kind of bordering, around the pool. And then we were going to put a big curving walkway to go up to the flagstone patio. The house had some brown tones in it, had brown trim and tan colors. And so there was a lot of colors going on, and they wanted to tie in all of it. So we did 33% of this sunburst color, which is red and tan. We did 33% of sienna brown, which is these, medium tone browns to dark brown, and 33% coastal moss to to tie in the concrete, there was these grays and greens. Okay, 33% each color. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, hold on here. There's no way that's going to look good, And I raised my hand. I said, look, I think this, out of all the color choices that I've seen and done over the years, I think this actually could be a mistake. Are you sure you want to do this color combination? And I took the pavers and I showed them what it was going to look like. And they said, yes, we're absolutely sure. We love it. This is what we want. So who am I to say? It's their house. It's what they want to do. So we went and I ordered the pavers that way. We put in beautiful pattern. The pavers turned out gorgeous, and the area just really opened up. They were able to have plenty of room now for lounge chair seating. And you know what? We did a fire pit too there. So they had a fire pit area, lounge chair seating, and a nice big, I think it was like 6 feet wide walkway curving up through the grass to their flagstone patio. And it turned out beautiful. The colors were spot on. I was blown away at how good it looked. I've never done that. Actually, we've never done that again, which I think is kind of cool because that pattern of colors is unique to their house. And I thought if there was a way to make a mistake, that was it. And it looked fine. It was beautiful. And it really did tie in all the different aspects as your eye kind of looked at it. The colors were similar enough. And so right then and there, I thought there's just no way. It doesn't matter what combination, what you choose. It's really difficult to make a mistake, if even make a mistake is possible. So just have that full confidence. Now, I want to talk about the tumbling aspect and the textures of the pavers, because they make pavers that are what they call pillow top, nice rounded edges on there. That's probably the majority of the pavers that we use. If you want a little bit more of a modern look, and it's minute, but it can make a difference and gives the pavers a little bit of a different feel. They make what's called a beveled edge, which is an angular edge all the way around the paver. The pavers have to have edges. They really should, because if they don't have the knuckles that kind of keep them apart from each other, as the pavers are flexing, because it's a flexible system, the tops of the pavers can chip. So that's why they bevel that edge. It prevents any chipping, like you would see if you had bricks, right next to each other. The sand can't even get in between, and then you see them chipping. That's why pavers have edges on them. But that edge can also be, manipulated, and you can determine what type of edge you want on your paver. The tumbled pavers that have textures to them and dimples throughout the pavers give you that old world look. You get this brand new paver patio that looks like it's been there for 10 years. There's definitely a place for that. It's totally just subjective and personal choice. Maybe you could make a case that the chairs wouldn't sit as flat, or tables or might rock back and forth, or you're putting a matchbook under the leg to get it to level out on some of the tumbled pavers. But you do get an amazing look. The flat top smooth pavers are obviously going to be the easiest ones to walk on, and they're very safe. People ask about it for wheelchairs and things like that. There's a lot of grip to them, especially when water's on there. All the little gaps and spaces in between the pavers, water's able to get in there and get off the top of the paver. So it's actually really nice. Concrete can actually be quite slippery, especially if you seal it with a heavy like lacquer finish. But anyway, think about the textures, because that's definitely going to affect the job, and it'll also affect how the colors look. Sometimes the tumbled products will look white on the top, and it'll change the color because of that tumbling process. It marks them up, and you'll see like little white spots. And if you look across it, you can see that white aspect of it. Make sure that you're okay with that before you go ordering, 1,000 square feet or something of that product. Be familiar with it and how it's going to look. On the other side of the break, I want to talk more about this and walls and, hiring the right person to do the job the right way the first time, and have you involved in picking out the colors and textures and patterns. We'll talk a little bit about patterns. If you miss any part of this show and want to hear it, you can always get them on YouTube. Go to Chaparral Pavers on YouTube, and we have all lists, or any of the other radio shows that we have are there. We upload them every week there for you to enjoy. All right, we'll see you right back on the other side of the break.
You're listening to Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers on California's Central Coast. Here on 1240 AM and 99.5 FM, KSMA.
This show is brought to you by Airval Block. Concrete paving stones or pavers are not all created equal. Airval Block pavers are created from a dry mix of gravel, sand, cement, and color. With very little water used, they're super strong. They won't crack or fade. And to be an Airval Block paver, the gravel and sand come from right here on the Central Coast, supporting our local community. Airval Block is the only local manufacturer of concrete masonry products like pavers, mortarless retaining wall blocks. Airval Block products are high quality for peace of mind, and there are many colors to choose from. And if you're not sure which products you need or how to use them, you will always get expert advice from the staff at Airval Block. Products made on the Central Coast for the Central Coast. Visit their fully landscaped outdoor showroom to see the many ways you can use Airval Block products at number 1 Suburban Road in San Luis Obispo, or go online at airvalblock.com.
If you're thinking about installing a new paver patio or paver driveway, check out Chaparral Pavers online at ilovetocomehome.com. Serving the Central Coast since 2001, Chaparral Pavers will work with you to get it right and complete the job to your specifications, as customer service is king at Chaparral Pavers. Paver driveways are stylish and durable and guaranteed to never crack. If your old concrete driveway or entryway is a hazardous cracking mess, it's time to call Chaparral Pavers. Go to their website, ilovetocomehome.com. You'll find all the information you need. Check out photographs of past installations and reviews from Central Coast residents who have used Chaparral Pavers. And don't forget, all installations are guaranteed for the life of your home. So check out Chaparral Pavers online at ilovetocomehome.com. Chaparral Pavers, they'll make you love to come home. Now, back to Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers on KSMA.
And we're back. Okay, we are talking everything about colors, textures, styles, and really how to tie all these colors in together and the feel of it. So just remember, don't get overwhelmed by color choices. There's a lot of color choices out there and color combinations and borders and styles, but at the end of the day, there's really no way to make a mistake. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous no matter what color you pick. But why not be involved with it? Why not have fun with it? If you're hiring a contractor, and you should be hiring a licensed contractor to make sure that you're going to get a first-class job and that they really have good relationships with their vendors and that they're used to picking out colors with the clients and they understand how the colors are going to affect the mood, how things are going to tie in together, and give you a little bit better of a job if you wanted to do, like we were talking about, change the color of the border. You know, maybe you could even inset some headers in there or some features. Especially with pavers, you can have a lot of fun with different colors. You can do maybe a little design in the middle. We've put, tiles in there. We've done little shapes or triple borders and these things. And at least you have a chance with a licensed contractor that he's done enough jobs and picked out enough colors and things to really help you along in the process. But I'm not one of those guys that, oh, we're the professionals and we know what colors to pick and go back inside the house, Mr. or Mrs. Client, and we got this, and they come out and it's just, I don't know. I mean, I would be doing what I want every time. It's your house, it's your style, it's the colors that you like. And again, by not getting overwhelmed, you'll still be able to add your personality to the project. Now, I'm reminded of a story, an experience that I had. We were doing a job in Guadalupe, and it was about 1,300 square feet of pavers, and beautiful and nice. We did a 1-1-1 pattern, which I want to talk about patterns, and we did a border. We did a nice big paver as a border all the way around it. We ran a gas line ahead of time underground over to a fire pit. We're setting it all up, and a gardener comes in that the client had hired. I didn't know about him, and he was going to hire him to put in the sod in the back. And so he's in there and telling me, oh, well, you guys did all these pavers? And I said, yeah, we did the pavers. And he looks at it like, oh, I could do that. And he said, we do pavers too. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if he's a licensed contractor. I wonder how many jobs he's done. Would he have done the pattern that we did? Would he have put this border in? Would he have graded it and have all the water draining in a certain direction like we did? Would he have been able to run the gas line ahead of time, put the fire pit? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But again, it's smart to think about who you're hiring, what their talents are, so that if you spend any amount of money, and, because it's usually thousands of dollars, whatever you do, even on the cheaper budget projects, make sure that it's done right by a quality person and you're getting quality product. Now, patterns, there's so many and there's so much fun with them. Why you would just leave it up to the contractor and just say, okay, yeah, just do whatever you think and not even talk about it. You should definitely look into patterns and think about it. And it goes for walls too, and tiles, and again, across all kinds of different trades. But mostly what we're talking here makes pavers make the most sense. Whether it's a patio or driveway or walkway, whatever. Herringbones are the strongest pattern. Look really neat. It's kind of a tried and true, long tested. We've all probably seen herringbone. You can take a regular herringbone pattern. You can turn it at a 45-degree angle. In my opinion, it looks way better at a 45. And yes, it's more cuts, but so what? It looks good. And, people shouldn't care about having to cut pavers. We don't care. I mean, it's what you got to do if you're the contractor. Or if you're doing it yourself, you're going to create a bunch of more cuts. Well, either buy a saw or, plan on having that thing for about a week. Stack bond is another pattern where, they're just kind of all in rows. Keep in mind the patterns that run long straight lines are the weakest patterns and can have problems especially if it's a driveway or if it's a steep slope. If it's just a back patio, just foot traffic, you'll probably be okay. Running bond is something that it's like the bricks, like if you're building a fireplace. Basket weave, you can do circles, in the as patterns, or circles. I love circles around fire pit areas. So there's so many things that you can do in combination with the colors that look amazing. So anyway, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you every Saturday here at noon. And, don't forget about our advertisers. If you go down to Airball Block, make sure that you mention you heard about them on the radio, that radio show here, Patio Side Chats with Chaparral. Check out all of our radio shows on YouTube at Chaparral Pavers.
This has been Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers. Go to ilovetocomehome.com to find out more, or call 805-588-6917. And be sure and tune in next week at this same time for Patio Side Chats here on KSMA.